Hello beautifuls, I'm back with another tarot reading slash channeled message today. And if it's for you, then you will just know it's for you. And if it's not for you, then just leave it for whoever it is for. A lot of people can feel that something has completely ended, but what is happening now is that it can be finally seen. The collapse that's been taking place for a while now underneath is no longer hidden, and it can now be seen on the surface in full. It is visible in the incoherence, the instability, the empty performances, the loss of integrity, and the way the whole system keeps speaking as if it still holds authority while clearly failing in real time. The rose-tinted glasses have come off. You can see the structures people were taught to trust do not actually protect, provide, or hold anything real anymore. You can see the split clearly. You can see the harm. You can see the performance. And you can feel in a very human way that you are not separate from it. That one missed payment, one bad month, one wrong move, and you too could be standing inside that same collapse. That is why this moment right now feels so heavy. It is not just that the tower has fallen underneath, it is that the fall is now visible on the surface. And no new policy, no new face, no new promises, and no performance of control can restore what has already been broken. What was false has to finish falling, so something built on truth, integrity, and real human value can take its place. So I'm going to jump into a tarot reading now for the True Line Collective. This message that came through today is obviously quite heavy. It's very real, obviously. My channel does not do false. This collapse has been coming through for a very long time on the channel that I hold with True Source. And I understand that a lot of people, a lot of human beings have been either not pretending, but like trying to push away the internal pull and the internal source truth that this collapse has been taking place. The rose tinted glasses have definitely come off, and a lot of people are feeling it right now. They're seeing it, and there is this sense of not knowing what to do. So in the sense of what's happening, you just have to let it fall. True Source ultimately needs it to fall so that it can place the true nodes, the true leaders into place, and all of that kind of stuff, so that a new era can rise from the ashes, essentially. So did a little shuffle before we started, split the deck. We have the Fool, so it's not all negative as some would say. Some would look at this as a positive, that the tower is collapsing and it is removing the distortion or the old frame, and it is making way for something new. So some people might look at it as like this is a negative. Some people might look at this like it is a super positive thing. We're moving in the right direction. So we have the Fool coming out, and this gives that sense of a new beginning, a new stage. Something new is forming. Like underneath all of this, it is forming and it is taking place. So let's grab a couple more cards. A lot of people talk about the new world, and we have justice coming out. So this is a justice point in the field. I'm getting that this point right now that's happening is a completion point. And this completion point is a justice arc. So what has essentially been causing all the damage, the harm, the pain, the strife, it has had its mask removed completely. It can no longer wear one. So that is why the rose colored, rose tinted glasses, I use that as a metaphor, I guess, for what it is, because it's like you're removing like a layer of illusion and you're seeing the reality for what it is. But this is a justice arc, so it's actually the falling of something that was not meant to be there in the first place. True justice, balance, a rebalancing, as you could say, into a new beginning, which I really like. With the Four of Swords in reversed, it would suggest that you and the field in general, the collective, is exhausted, extremely exhausted, tired, run down. We have the Three of Swords, we have pain, we have grief, we have hurt, we have a lot of energy floating around at the moment. So it's like it became so pressurized. The field and the collective structure becomes so pressurized that something has to give, right? And this pressure has been rising and rising and rising and rising and rising for a very long time. And it's like a need pressure thing. So if you're looking at like runes, it would be like Nordhes. It's like the need from the pressure. Something needs to give way. So essentially, this justice point is because the exhaustion, the pain, the suffering, the harm, the lack, the downright horrible overlay that has been placed over this planet and its collective by these systems have essentially created their own pressure point where this whole system comes down. It's very visible at the moment, and this energy of like exhaustion and pain and grief is pushing this pressure lid open, and that's what's creating the veil to completely lift, the glasses to come off. It's being seen. This collapse is fully visible. It can no longer hold, the distortion can no longer hold this like veil over your eyes or your lives anymore. That's kind of what I'm getting from that. And then we have the Eight of Swords in reversed. So there was a bind. So this was an energetic bind through energetic structures. A lot of people call it magic or, just energy work, ritualistic kind of stuff. But there was like active binds on the populace of the planet, and this bind was there to keep you bound, right, to a timeline that was suffering induced by the distorted structures. It's essentially like it gives me the sense of like it tried to it didn't try, it came in when you were at your not weakest, but when you're at your most vulnerable, so early on in your life when you were born, and it comes in and it forces this bind onto you through survival, and it makes you believe at that point that you need it. So you accept this offer, this energetic contract, and this bind has been lifted from the collective, the True Line collective. It's essentially been broken. So that's one of the big reasons why this is happening, because that bind is no longer there anymore on the collective structure. And then we have the Ten of Swords. So it's definitely the end of the old structure. This could be what it's feeling like for you specifically. It could be feeling very like a lot of people could be saying it's doomsday coming, or like the end of the world, or like a lot of that kind of stuff. But they're all overlays, illusion overlays fear overlays that are being placed over the collective as well. So the performance is there. So you may run into a lot of this kind of stuff in the next couple of weeks where people are going to, well, like the field, just generally algorithms could be pushing fear induced stuff to make you believe that like the end of the world's coming. But like at this point, it's happened so many times that you should be able to understand that it's not actually what's happening. The end is not for you, the end is for them. And this Ten of Swords is ultimately showing how the structure, the mimic, the demiurge, whatever you want to call it, but it's ultimately just the old system, the one that's been around for a very, very long time, the ancient system that has been forcing coercive false contracts onto everybody through survival mechanisms that has ended. And it's also not siphoning energy the way it used to. It basically can't siphon energy from you anymore, and that's through the bind, right? When you're bound, it can siphon your energy, but when you're being unbound from that stuff, it no longer has this like connection or a link. That contract has been severed. So essentially, it becomes its own end because every attempt to try to retether, backfires on its own system and produces its own tower. So you're essentially seeing that in the physical now. I get one more card. And we have the Ace of Swords in reversed. This here is ultimately the idea that the truth is not here, but the way I read tarot. And the reason why I said one more card is because I can feel like the heavy blanket, right? There's something here in this reading that false structure does not want to be seen, to be heard. It does not want this to come out clean, but it will. The Ace of Swords here is truth, and it has been projected that there is no truth, that there is no sort of truth being swung right now. But that's ultimately what it wants you to believe. So it's just a framework that I've had, that I've worked on for a very long time. I've mentioned it a few times in my readings, and it's essentially a true source framework around tarot. I do not read it in the old meanings and stuff like that because it keeps you in cycles and loops and all that stuff. You know, I won't go too far into it, but essentially that is a projection overlay. And it is trying to remove credibility from this reading, and that's where I don't allow it. The truth blade has been swung, and the end has already happened. And the performance and the overlay and the fear from the distorted structure, all it can do now is try to project and perform and throw empty shells of directed, energy to try to manipulate the field around me and others. But it doesn't work anymore, and that's essentially what's happening here, is that it no longer has the ability or the energy to produce such a heavy illusionary layer over things. So that's what's coming through in today's message. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Let me, I guess, know in the comments how you're feeling about everything, and if you see all of this happening, if you relate to this. It would be amazing to have a community here that is part of the True Line. So if you're part of it, then definitely say hi. If you're not, then you'll probably feel like you don't want to be here. But other than that, I'll see you in another one whenever the message comes through. Take care, everybody. And remember, True Source is there behind you every step through this collapse that is taking place. Never forget that. Bye-bye.